guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we are on a nice fine fall day here. It's actually starting to feel like fall here in the Carolinas. I think the high today is like 50 and it's supposed to be raining all day. So yeah, kind of a miserable fall day, but since the first day it's really felt cold. Like I got up this morning, got in the car, and yeah, it definitely felt cold. Should have been wearing pants and not shorts and a t-shirt. So today we're in the Silverado. We're headed up to exclusive paint protection. We were here months ago with Corvette. So obviously before the Indy half mile, and we lifted that head. And yeah, so we were at a Corvette event here, and basically what we'll be doing today is kind of the sequel or part 2 of the hail damage video that we did a couple weeks ago. And we're going to be getting the hood scoop, and some other stuff done, basically rewrapped in PPF. Exclusive doesn't use Expel, which is fine. They've got a very similar product, and the reason we're waiting is because you have to wait for that paint to off gas, and I'm pretty sure Tim did not have time to put the hood or the hood scoop in their heated paint booth. You know, they painted it, but I don't think they, you know, baked it. So we have actually waited over a month, and I have not been driving this car on the highway. It's been strictly local back roads and stuff, and if I needed to go get stuff, you know, the max speed limit was probably 40, 45, something like that. So let's go drop this off at exclusive paint detailing and protection, and we will pick this back up when it's done. All right, guys, you can see we're in the Silverado, and we're in a little bit of a side quest right now. You guys can see, obviously, we have it back. Hood's been wrapped and everything. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but yeah, got a side quest going on because I was working on the Corvette, and one of my hydraulic lines basically split open, and it started leaking right out one of the crimped fittings. So right now we're headed up to a hydraulic shop in Denver to replace that. I forgot I've been by this place. I haven't actually been to the shop. The place I take all my scrap metal to is actually just down here. As you can see, we're finally back home, and I've double checked the film and everything, as well as the PPF. Everything looks pretty good. I got no complaints so far, and yeah, so it's just nice to have that truck wrapped because I really haven't been able to drive it on the highway. I've been trying to avoid driving on the highway. So that hood is protected, that hood scoop is protected, as well as the UV protection that we're going to have for the interior now. Also, that film will help cut down on some glare at night, especially with high beams and whatnot. So let's go ahead and cut some clips and pictures of the PPF as well as the exclusive paint protection. Brian and his team made it really effortless to go drop the truck off. They communicated with me pretty well, and I was updated along the way. I called Wednesday at like 2:45, and I think he said the truck was done by 4 o'clock. So finished up working, headed his way, got the truck, paid for it, and headed home. So really had a real smooth process with Brian and his team over at Exclusive Paint Protection. So Brian actually has 2 locations of his business. One is in Huntersville, one is in Charlotte. I went to the one in Huntersville because that's the one closest to the house. I don't know if they do everything like with the window tint or the PPF at the Charlotte location. I imagine they do both in both locations. So, but yeah, so had no issue with that. The one unfortunate thing was they really detailed my truck. I mean, they cleaned it top to bottom, inside and out, and they did find one loose panel. We will show you that here in a minute. I just got to go ahead and put some new 3M tape on the back of that and slide that back on. It's basically a piece of the bumper trim that popped loose. He did call me or texted me about that, let me know, so I appreciate that. But the one thing I was saying is they fully detailed the truck, and then I had to drive home in a massive rainstorm. So the truck still looks clean, but it sucks that, like, you know, they'd spent all that time cleaning it, and I immediately had to drive out into pouring rain. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But also, another update, here is that hydraulic hose that we just had replaced. The one on the left is the original one from Max Jackson. The one on the right is that new one that we picked up from Double S Power and Control up in Denver. So go ahead and get that installed. That way our lift is fully functional. We have no more issues with it. I think in the previous video I'd mentioned as soon as we try to lift the car, this fitting right here, actually it was the bottom fitting, that hose had split above that, and it was just spraying down, trying to get on the floor and whatnot. Luckily, I had this radiator bucket right here. I did have two more updates, actually three. In another video, I'd mentioned that the backup camera had been scratched. I got a new one of those to put in. That's going to go in the tailgate. The motor, maybe we'll get an update on that pretty soon. I have a screenshot here of a posting from K-Tech. Their brand new billet oil squirters are out, or they announced them in October, like early October. I'm not sure when you guys will see this video, but that was the one thing holding up our motor. Ken, our engine builder, told me about that. We ordered those like 4 months ago, whatever it was. I paid for them. So hopefully he's able to get those. We're able to pay for the motor and able to bring that thing home. Because basically the motor was fully assembled. The one thing we ran into problems was the oil piston squirters because they didn't fit. The GM ones for the LT4 don't fit properly when you have bigger rod and piston. And so yeah, so these new billet ones from K-Tech, I would imagine they do ship out soon, because as soon as you announce it on your website, you know, you should start shipping product, hopefully. So hopefully we get that soon. Ken will have the cam and the motor. We'll talk about that when we get the motor. So we got that new hose installed, and you guys can hear the car is being lifted. So no issues there. I'm glad that was a quick fix. Oh, and by the way, that took that hydraulic shop less than 5 minutes to make. I walked into their shop, gave them that hose, told them I needed it a little bit longer, but pretty much the same length. They made it probably an extra 1/4 inch, something like that. And yeah, so that has been replaced. We're good to go with the lift. And if we need to lift the transaxle up on the Corvette, we can go ahead and do that. So yeah, it was like about a 20-minute drive each way, but we were able to replace the hose, get it fixed all in the same day. I didn't have to order something, wait a week, and go ahead and get that done. I'll be honest, I wish I knew about that shop like 8 years ago, because when we did the hose on the right, that is actually an aftermarket hose I ended up buying off the internet. If I had known I could have just gotten that done locally, it probably would have paid about the same amount of money. I think that hose was like $100+, and I imagine that shop probably would have charged about the same amount, and we wouldn't have had to wait, you know, a week or two, whatever it took for us to get that hose cut, made, shipped, and all that. So speaking of that backup camera, this actually just came in the mail. And yeah, so it does have a GM part number. It ends in 6845. You guys got to be careful with these camera and part numbers, because they are not cross compatible, if that makes sense. You need to make sure the one you're replacing is the one that's in your truck. The newer ones have a different part number. It's like they've changed these cameras like 3 or 4 times. And even in this generation trucks, like 19 to 22 use this camera. I think they changed it in either 23 or 24. They use a different part number. And then I'm finding out the backup trailer accessory kit, that uses even a different part number. So you guys got to be careful with application of cameras. You guys can see this OEM bracket that came with it. I'm not sure exactly what this came out of, like a Buick or something like that. But yeah, so, you know, I did want to buy a GM camera. There's a ton of counterfeits out there that don't work properly. People have bought them, they install them, and they don't work. So make sure you try to buy a GM OEM camera. That's what we've done here. And yeah, as you can see, the trim panel is basically flopping around. What failed on it was the 3M tape on the back of it. You guys can see I've already removed that piece of trim, and it's held in simply with a push pin on the bottom and 2 strips of 3M bonding tape here. We just got to remove that. I will clean up the bumper, get this back installed, and we'll go ahead and fix that loose trim. All right, guys, we got this part cleaned up. We got some new 3M tape put on the back of it. Let's go ahead, clean up the truck, get this trim panel back installed. As you can see, we got the bumper trim installed. No real secret here. Just make sure you line up the hole in the bottom with the push pin. Push that in, and then go ahead and push the 3M tape against the bumper. And you're pretty much good to go, and we have fixed that trim piece. Now, I suspect that that's probably been popped loose for a while, because that double-sided tape had no stickiness residue to it at all. So, and probably what happened was, it was probably pressure washed when they were cleaning it. They probably pressure washed it, and it was already loose, and they blew off that last piece. So, not a bigger deal. I already had the 3M tape. I just had to scrape the old stuff off, put new tape on there. As you can see in this clip, we've just finished replacing the backup camera. There's no scratches on this one. Everything is working just fine. To get to that, all you really have to do is take the top half of the multi-flex tailgate off. There's that protective cover with the part that slides out and that slides down. That's like a T25 or a T30. Take out those 6 bolts. And then there's 4 T20 bolts. Take those out. Then you'll get access from the inside. We have the kicker speakers, so I actually had to take 2 10mm bolts off. That loosened up the handle and was able to push that out from the back. And we're able to get access to the camera. It's simply 2 T20 bolts. Take that out and you swap out your old camera for the new camera. Now, if you guys have the regular tailgate, that whole assembly might be different. I don't know. I have the multi-flex tailgate. And like I said, I imagine it'd be similar, but you might have to take off a little bit more things because your panel is flat versus ours is split in half. Now, I did want to show you the old camera. You guys can see that right here. It is pretty dinged up, and actually there's like 3 or 4 different scratches on here. And yeah, like I said, I did accidentally hit the concrete with this one. We picked that one up on eBay. I think it was like 70 bucks, something like that. So that's already been installed, good to go. We fired the truck up, I put it in reverse. Backup camera's working just fine. So finally, a non-messed up camera. And like I said, it doesn't have this big scratch in it. So there's no, it almost looks like fuzz. You know, it kind of just looks like there's some crap on the camera. So that has been fixed. Yeah, I didn't really need any tools for this whole swap. I did end up having to go buy a new T20 socket. I somehow lost my 3/8 T20. Pretty sure Craftsman makes a 3/8 and a T20. I will say one complaint about having to buy that tool. I ended up going to 2 different places. I went to Lowe's, they sell Craftsman. Well, guess what? The T20 only comes in a big kit, and I only needed 1 socket, and the big kit is like $56. I'm like, yeah, I'm not spending that for 1 socket. So I ended up going over to AutoZone. I think it was like $6. So we have a 1/4-inch T20 when I'm pretty sure I had a 3/8. I'll have to double check that. But anyway, but on that note, we're going to end this video here. We've kind of jumped around a bunch of truck updates, some shop updates with the lift, all that stuff. So a little bit of a sporadic video, but we just happen to have enough stuff going on to compile it into one video, and we got another video for you guys. So yeah, if you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more random truck updates like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. And if you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. Include a link to the T20 socket that you're going to need for that camera kit. We'll give you a part number. We'll try to find an OEM backup camera for you. Like I said, fair warning about the China ones. I don't think they work. I've seen people complain about them. So try to buy a GM one. We'll try to include a link for that. And that should be about it. Oh, also make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support you give there goes right back into the channel. We got merch, we got parts, we got used parts. You can access all that stuff at the website, and that's going to be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.